The digital revolution is going to have a massive effect on intelligence operations in the 2020s. And this much has been recognised by the agencies themselves. The CIA, for example, has set up a Directorate of Digital Innovation, and the head of MI6 has said that agencies that don't recognise the importance of the digital revolution could flounder within 5 years. So at Jane's Intelligence Review, we've been looking at the trends that will emerge in the 2020s and that will probably make the security of environment of 2030 unrecognisable to a practitioner from the turn of the century. So it's not just the digital revolution, there will be other trends accompanying this, for example, demographic shifts, the ascendancy of the millennial generation, and a likely lack of cybersecurity professionals going forward through the 2020s. But just to take a couple of examples of digital innovations that will emerge, robotics is obviously going to be extremely important, including artificial intelligence. Dubai, for example, already wants to have a third of its workforce being robots by the year 2030. Another field which will be extremely important is the area of satellite imagery, commercial satellite imagery. Now, we assess at Jane's that by 2020, the commercial satellite constellation will be so large that it will be able to image virtually everywhere on the Earth's surface at a much increased rate over where we are now. That will fundamentally change the amount of imagery that will be available for analysts to assess. And, for example, in the shot on the screen at the moment, you'll see a piece that we've done recently on the experimental light water reactor at Yongbyon in North Korea, where we have assessed, using satellite imagery and a number of other sources, that this reactor could be coming on stream quite shortly. There are other parts of the digital revolution we might want to think about. Stratolites, for example, are high-altitude balloons that can provide persistent imaging of any area on the Earth's surface. And as we move forward from there, there are other things such as facial recognition technology, which has become widely used by law enforcement and security agencies, and obviously things such as unmanned aerial vehicles. We've seen those being used by, for example, the Islamic State to great effect in various conflicts around the world. So all of these are examples of things that may happen within the digital revolution in the 2020s. State intelligence agencies are likely to respond to this threat through a number of ways, and all parts of the intelligence cycle will actually be affected. I think mainly the parts of the intelligence cycle that will be affected will be in collection and in analysis. And certainly throughout the 2020s, the vast explosion in information that's going to be available means that the role of analysis will become much more important. Previously there was a great emphasis on going out and collecting intelligence, but actually bringing that all together and then drawing conclusions from what it means has sometimes been a weakness of state intelligence operations. Now, one way that I think agencies will work in the future is more through the concept of fusion. Fusion centres have already been deployed in areas such as counter-terrorism, bringing together representatives from multiple agencies co-located in the same area. And I think the logical extension of that is that you will see the beginning of an erosion between the different intelligence disciplines. So, for example, human intelligence, signals intelligence, open source intelligence, and geospatial intelligence. And gradually, agencies working towards single threat-based processes where they bring together a number of representatives of different agencies to work on a single threat. Now, they can also exploit new technologies that are emerging. One such example would be looking at how technology can be used by, for example, civil enforcement and by the police to actually prevent vehicle impact attacks. And so you can use autonomous systems which can detect strange movements in a vehicle, and, for example, if they detected such a movement, they could raise bollards to protect large areas of pedestrians. I think it's important to underline that there are several areas of the digital revolution where we think the technologies will probably develop slightly more slowly than a lot of the hyperbole would suggest. These areas include quantum computing which promises a revolution in digital technology, but actually where there will be post-quantum cryptographic developments which mean that it may not develop quite as fast as people are expecting. Likewise, in artificial intelligence, I think there's a lot of hype surrounding artificial intelligence. It will indeed be a major game changer throughout the 2020s, but perhaps not to the degree that people are expecting. Now, this all means that open source intelligence will continue to play an invigorated role in the 2020s. One area that we have highlighted, for example, is social media. We carried out a study recently using social media to show how you could track submarines at sea. And on the screen now you can see part of the results of that analysis. Importantly, of course, we've anonymised the details of the vessel and the crew to protect their classified operations. Another area of potential future growth could be in software-defined radios, which can be used to monitor signals from around the globe connected via the internet. So in sum, all of these technologies brought together, it means that we have an area where open source intelligence is rapidly growing, and areas which were previously classified have now moved into the open source domain. So for example, things such as satellite imagery, which we've talked about, increasingly, and certainly by the end of the 2020s, will be widely accessible to a wide range of analysts. This growth in the open source community is something that we're following very closely at Jane's Intelligence Review. Multiple projects to look at the impact of the digital revolution on intelligence operations and law enforcement operations. And all of our analysis can be found at Jane's Military and Security Assessment Centre.